All right, looks like we got about a little more than a minute until 7. We're going to give it till 7:02 till we get started. May I ask who I have on with me on the iPhone? Sorry, Josh. One of the benefits of living 10 minutes from the beach is, and being off season and the tourists go home, is we actually spend more time there in the off season, I think, than we do during the season, just because it's easier to get there. Pandemic threw us off this past year, but usually we have a little blow up swimming pool in our backyard. And I'll post pictures in the summertime of us in our little swimming pool. My friends up from Pennsylvania and such from other areas are going, "Don't you live near the ocean?" I'm like, "Yeah, and it's only a 10-minute ride when it's not a holiday weekend. 45 minutes could probably be a good possibility on the holiday weekend, and I just won't do that." So, although, as far as I'm concerned, it's still a little bit cold to be in the water. I'm not sure if it's tourists that I see that are from way up north and going, "Oh, look at the water's nice and warm," and they're in the water. But for me, it's a little chilly. I mean, I don't mind getting my feet wet and stuff like that, but I'm probably not going to be full dipping in the ocean right now. Exactly. 5 minutes or 60 minutes away, depending. All right, there we are. We're rolling 7:02. We're just about ready to get started here. Let me see. Glasses on. Glasses on. Yeah, I can see the screen better without my glasses on. All righty. This is the South Carolina Normal Cannabis Conversation My name is Scott Weldon, Executive Director of South Carolina NORML. I'd like to start by welcoming everybody to the conversation tonight. As always, our disclaimer is all of our meetings are an environment of education and awareness and are not an open market for the sale, purchase, or distribution of cannabis. We do not encourage or condone illegal behavior of any kind. You'd think I'd have that memorized, but I have to read it each time. All right. Again, welcome to everybody who's joining in on the Zoom call here with me. Welcome to anybody that may be viewing this on our YouTube live stream. And also, welcome to anybody that's viewing it as a recording on our YouTube channel. Mentioning YouTube, I always like to point out that we are not monitoring the comment section on the live stream on YouTube. But if you do have any questions, comments, and or concerns, you can leave them in the comments section down below off to the side, somewhere in the comments section. And when YouTube's done rendering our video, usually 24 to 48 hours, we will revisit your questions, comments, and concerns, see if we can answer them or address them for you. Again, my name's Scott Weldon with South Carolina Cannabis, South Carolina NORML, the South Carolina chapter of the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. And tonight on the conversation is, I guess I'm kind of calling it part 3 of our municipal elections and cannabis decriminalization conversation. Over the past couple of weeks, we've had some candidates join us on the call. And had some positive feedback, I'd say, from the few that we had on. We know that one of the candidates that we had on last week was running unopposed, so pretty assumedly, unless something drastic happened, excuse me, they are will be, I'm assuming, sworn in at some point to their city council, town council. And as we left in our conversation with them last week, they were like, well, let me get in there and get sort of situated. Let me look at this, a little bit deeper and see what the best directions may be to go on. Another thing that one of our listeners had mentioned was, well, maybe it'd be a good idea if we put on some educational events in that community. And it's a relatively small community off season. I believe what I saw online was like last census, 600 residents. Although the conversation with the person I had, they felt it was probably more like 1,000, could be older numbers. And then blooms to 11,000 in season, very similar to a lot of the coastal towns. So that is, again, one of the things where having a city council member on board with this type of decriminalization would probably benefit us in the way of access to, what's the word I'm looking for? Communications more directly with the registered voters and the residents, and not the loud blah 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 we always hear in the tourist towns of eat here, dine here, dance here, listen to music here, all the other activity stuff that is really of little import to the tourists. And so sometimes I think it sort of drowns out that information for the residents and the voters. With that said, we've had very brief conversations about it, but I think that's a great possibility. I think that's something we could work together with some of our partners with. I don't see Michael on the call tonight. Michael's with American Cannabis Nurses Association. I know that he would, and a veteran as well. So I think he would be, willing to help us develop an educational program. That we, like a presentation or something like that on the benefits of decriminalization. Of course, he would look at it more from a vet's aspect and a medical aspect. But again, we want to look at it from the harm reduction aspect of as much as we possibly can, and educate on those numbers. With that said, I was hoping to get a hold of the executive director of the South Carolina chapter of the American Civil Liberty Union this past week. And what was sort of funny is I went to their website first for his contact info, and it wasn't there, and I was a little baffled. Well, here I find out that he has been transferred and will now become the executive director of the ACLU in New Hampshire, I believe. So he did say that he would reach out and make a connection for us with the interim executive director over there, but I have not heard from them yet. And I may have to kind of reach back out. The reason I was reaching out to Frank with the ACLU or the ACL in general was, as we move into the next legislative cycle and the next election cycle, one of the things that I'd like to do, since we won't be doing a conference in Columbia as had been planned, is more of a lobby day and a like press conference rally kind of at the Capitol. I've never done one. I've never had a rally or a press conference in the Capitol Rotunda or in, I guess it's their main lobby, whatever they call it, their first floor lobby, and or on the steps outside or anything like that. And so I'm thinking, well, I don't know what the best day of the week is, or when they're going to probably allow for scheduling for us to come in on our lobby days and talk with our legislators. And I'm sure that the ACLU's done that before, so I was hoping I could reach out to them and they could give me a little bit of guidance on that. Excuse me. I have hit a little bit of a hiccup or a roadblock on that, but I'll be turning around and reaching out again later this week to their interim executive director and possibly a couple of their other folks there. There might be somebody that might be have a title that's a little bit more appropriate to direct my questions to. While I ponder a minute here, I want to sort of go through my email and see if I can find an answer to Cody's question. What township, what town were we talking about? Here we go. Edisto Beach. So I do have to reach back out to that candidate, now board member in Edisto Beach, and but I want to give it a little time, let them settle in, that kind of stuff. Yes, also from the growing aspect, that may be good for some of the educational. A fellow named Jay Watts has never been in politics at all before. But yeah, he was good to chat with, and we'll probably have him back on in the future if we can get things to move forward in that community. And that's one of the things we wanted to talk about tonight. So I'm sorry about the long way around to get there. But moving decriminalization forward at the municipal level. What are the potentials and possibilities in the state? We've talked about this over the past couple of weeks. This is kind of part 3. As I mentioned, the first 2 weeks, we did talk about the process of a council member sponsoring, proposing and sponsoring an ordinance versus the, let me see if I can get that in there, the local voter initiative version of us trying to collect whole bunches of signatures on petitions. Mind you, that community, I mean, if it even is 1,000 people registered to vote there, 15% of that's not an unmanageable number there at all. 1,500 people to get signatures from? I'm sorry, 150 people? No, that's only 50, sorry. Never the mathematician. Yeah, it is 150 people. There we go. Not 1,500, 150 people. Not a lot of signatures. That would be an absolute uh, great option as well. But I'm hoping we can go the other way, because I'm hoping to utilize the board member initiated ordinance um, over trying to collect signatures. Now, as we've talked about it over the past couple of weeks, we have had these petitions drawn up for us and the guide by the folks in Ohio at the Sensible Movement Coalition. And this was a version developed for here in South Carolina. And in Ohio to date, they have decriminalized 22. And I believe the ones that just got voted on all got voted through yesterday. But they're at least at 22 now, decriminalized communities. And I believe 21 of them, might be 20, are no fine, no time decriminalizations. We've again talked about that a number of times, how important that is. A no fine, no time decriminalization versus a $25 or $50 ticket decriminalization. Paying that ticket is still admission of a crime, of committing a crime. It still initiates you into that criminal justice system. A no fine, no time. Generally, law enforcement's not going to do a whole lot more than just confiscate the weed they catch you with, shoo you on your way, tell you not to be caught around there again with weed, or they're going to make trouble for you or whatever they do. So that's why we definitely favor the no time, no fine type decriminalization, is keep people out of the criminal justice system altogether. And that can be a little harder push with the board member initiated, the city or town council board member initiated. They like to see that deterrent, I guess, of the ticket, that dollar value, and it's a revenue generator. Or it can be a revenue generator. And as Mr. Watts had even mentioned last week on our conversation, he's spoken with our local police chief of police, who shared with him a 188-page document titled "Impacts of Marijuana Legalization in Colorado." By the Colorado Division of Criminal Justice, and he sent me a copy of it. I have not I haven't dove into it yet, but it could be interesting, to say the least. But anyway, the chief of police in that community was not necessarily receptive, and as the community is kind of described to me as in season, it may boost up to, like I say, about 10,000. From 1,000 to 10 or 11,000 population, and a lot of those populations are tourists playing golf, enjoying the nightlife, enjoying the beach, that kind of thing. And there's probably not a whole lot of marijuana arrests there. I would have to look into that, but I would think there's not a whole lot. But we would hope to be able to educate their community, if they can get it to move forward, on just the harms that follow after a simple marijuana possession arrest. I want to backtrack a little, because Mr. Watts did kind of say to something in the conversation, and I don't remember if he connected it to the chief of police or not, but he was looking for kind of the right, maybe marketing line or something like that. And one of the things that was sort of said almost made it sound like, oh, you can come here and it'll be legal. And I wanted to caution him very clearly: decriminalization is not legalization. You don't want to let people know you can come to your community and just carefree, be legal, and not worry about it. It's still a crime. And what happens in many communities when they initiate, or not, I don't necessarily mean many, but some. I remember Allentown, Pennsylvania, which is a community near where I used to live. When their town council decided to decrim, the local police said, "We don't care. We're just going to charge based on state law, and screw your ordinance to decriminalize, to depenalize." And there's where I want to clarify with you all. The word decriminalization is really kind of an inaccurate description because it does not legalize. It doesn't take the crime out of it. The crime's still there. It changes the penalty. It should be depenalization, depenalization, depending on how you pronounce it. If you're from South Carolina or North Carolina or wherever you're from. Anyhow, sorry for my lack of good humor. But yeah, that's where it's very blurry to the community. And when you want to educate them, we want to let them know it's not that you're allowing full legalization of marijuana in your community and people are going to be out there on your beaches and out in the golf courses, just, carrying their bongs and hookahs and, rolling their blunts and out at the nightclubs, just, big old dabs. No, it's still illegal under decriminalization. The penalty is definitely different, and it doesn't stop law enforcement from stealing your giant dab rig at the nightclub or that kind of stuff. So that's one of the things you definitely need to clarify with people, because a big goal of ours, of course, as a normal organization, we fight for civil rights and civil liberties, and we believe that prohibition is unconstitutional, but at the same time, we know that there's steps to get there, and if we can't get the full legalization, let's do as much harm reduction as we can with a depenalization type process. And as I said, we've watched them in Ohio moving, I think, through 22 jurisdictions, 22 municipalities. Illinois, I was talking to a fella, Kevin Caldwell, a while back with, I don't remember the organization offhand. I'd have to go look it up. But he was very instrumental in a lot of the initial municipal decriminalizations, to the point that he was also then instrumental in the state plan decriminalization that recently went into effect. I've now believe for legalization, or not legalization, decriminalization in Louisiana. I don't know what I heard ding. It was a chat message or something. Anyhow, back on track. Where we're at now, like I said, is we know that at least one candidate that was interested in moving decriminalization forward in their community has taken will be taking their seat when sworn in. So we'll give that all the time a little bit to simmer and settle, and we'll follow back up with Mr. Watts in a few weeks. There are a couple of others that were on the call with us a few weeks before. Let me see if I can find their names for you, or their Spartanburg. We had a candidate for Spartanburg. I don't know if he's won his election. I was communicating with someone from Mount Pleasant, who wants to basically hear more about our proposal. I have to follow up with them. I tried to schedule a meeting, but haven't heard back. And let me go to my next one here. Also, I believe in Bluffton. We had somebody that was interested and joined us on one of our calls, probably 2 weeks ago. So a couple of different spots throughout the state. and that's where it's going to begin. Is one spot here, one spot there. Let's see what we can do to start decriminalizing municipally. The penalties and the residual consequences are much greater harm than the any harms that cannabis can bring upon the consumer or the community. So let's go ahead and reduce those harms through decriminalization municipally, if that's what we need to do. And that is, in my opinion, what we need to do to move things forward. As much as I know that they've said there's a debate going to be held on medical marijuana in January on the Senate floor, as soon as the Senate reconvenes on January 11th, excuse me, that's the debate, you know, and then there still needs to be a vote. And I know my particular senator, although they voted it positively out of committee, which was the, oh geez, I don't remember, the Medical Affairs Committee, I believe. And she admitted in that debate saying, I'll vote it out of this committee, but I'll vote against it on the Senate floor. I don't know if we have enough support really to get it through. That's to be heard, you know, and that's where I'm hoping the debates that come out on the Senate floor are positive enough to sway some opinions. That's again where your opinion is going to matter, where your efforts are going to help a lot. We're going to be out this weekend. Saturday we'll be at what's called the Blue Jamboree, which is part of the Charleston Democratic Party's kickoff to the next election cycle. We know that they're going to have at least 2 gubernatorial candidates there. We know that both of those candidates support marijuana reform in some level or another. If we felt that there was another, I had actually was looking for some volunteers, and I've had some say, I will not go to a Democratic event. I understand your position, and if we had a Republican event that also had candidates that were supporting marijuana law reform, and we could get in for the same $50 that we did here, we'd be there. We'd be there in flying colors. With bells on, I think is the phrase. Anyway, we know that we've got some support from the party in marijuana legalization. Otherwise, me, I'm middle of the road. I don't really like any party. Or somebody asked me the other day if you had to claim a party, which one? I says the Willie Nelson Teapot Party. It's a real one. Look it up, folks. It's out there. Am I registered with the Willie Nelson Teapot Party? No, because South Carolina, you don't register by party anyway. Willie Nelson Teapot Party. Woohoo! And it's interesting too. I'm going to sort of expand on that just a tiny bit. If you look into political parties, it is a pretty long, endless list of all these little. They're not just the 2 parties, and it's not just the 3 parties, the Green Party, it's not just the 4th party. There's a lot of different parties out there, political parties out there. Think of whatever it is you might have a lean towards. There's probably a political party out there. I don't know if there's necessarily a meatloaf political party, but there might be, and it might say you do put ketchup on top of it before you bake it, or you don't. I mean, there might be the no ketchup on your meatloaf party for all I know. I like the shepherd's pie version topped with mashed potatoes. So, anyway, any questions, comments, thoughts about the decriminalization process through the municipal? At the municipal level, through the city council, town council. Thoughts, questions?
I got something, as I always do, Scott.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it,
Cody. So I have a connection it's going to get me in contact with the Charleston County Sheriff, the chief. I can't remember her name. She ran as a liberal. All about
yes. I want to say Christine. I follow him on Facebook. I forget her name though.
Yeah, so she kind of ran on that, and us in the hemp industry, we have a lot of our problems with what the cops want to enforce. That's not law, and this and that. So I'm bringing up a proposition where to alleviate a couple hemp issues, and then the way I'm trying to tie it in is, well, we might as well decriminalize it, because if we make the end all be all hemp flowers completely okay, your probably biggest concern is going to be, how do your sheriff deputies know what's the difference between cannabis and hemp? Easy question. Why the other one? That way you don't have to worry about it, and as long as it's in its original, packaging container. So I'm trying to work on getting her to, at least put out a memorandum for the hemp stuff, and then basically get ACLU with CJCC. What's that? Charleston Justice something Committee.
Yeah, I tried to join them last year, and my application got turned down on that one. But maybe next year.
I'll try and try to get them in together, because I mean, really, if we can go to a Charleston County hearing, whatever it is, and we have the Charleston County Sheriff there saying, yes, I support this, that'll be that'll be good for, like you said, have slowly just take municipalities and counties and slowly work at the decriminalization piece, and to have it spread. So that's something I'm working on. So I'll need I think is the other guy at ACLE named Pat or Patrick, something like that. I never met the name.
Well, there's Frank Knack, who was the ACLU of South Carolina executive director, who just left and has gone to New Hampshire. And the interim executive director locally is a woman. I don't have her name in front of me.
Yeah, I'll reach out, and because I'm going to try to get in that CJCC to, because it's us in the hemp industry is, of course we want cannabis, we want the real stuff, but it's the same thing. It's the Department of Agriculture has to listen to the attorney general. The police say, well, we say this, and well, that's not fair to everybody else. The police aren't represented by us to make those decisions for us, kind of a thing. So it's something I'm working on to try to, one, clear up some hemp issues for us so we can survive until cannabis is legal in a state, and then we can get on that. So I might ask next I hear more information from them.
Well, definitely keep me updated on that and informed, because if there's anything I can help to do it at county level, I mean, now you're talking a bigger piece of the pie. I guess I'd refer to trying to do anything at a city or a town level. You're there with a spoon, where now if you're talking county level, you're there with the ladle kind of thing. You're a much larger area that you're going to cover that's going to be encompassed by that. If it happens at county level, I would assume a lot of the municipalities within that county would pretty much follow suit.
I live in Edisto Island, which is Charleston County, and Edisto Beach is Carlton County. So I live 500 feet from the line. So I'm going to go see if I can find this Jay Watts guy and talk to him. See if he needs a girl operation on the beach. I'll go talk to him.
Yeah, I mean, he seemed very receptive, and if you're in that region and have access to be able to reach out to him, I'd appreciate that, because I think, like I said, he seemed to be open to the idea. He agreed that the harms are much greater than from being arrested than from the plant itself. And talking to a grower might, and talking to a grower that has experience with hemp CBD type stuff, because a lot of these golfers, I'm guessing, and people on the beach, how often are they smoking hemp instead of actual full-blown medical marijuana or recreational marijuana?
They're not. And I do have to laugh at, you said the nightclub. I think there's like 2 good bars on the island, so it's not.
I'm not familiar with the community. No, I guess I appreciate getting called out on it, but yeah, I'm not real familiar with the community.
That's good.
But here in like Folly Beach, I wouldn't call them nightclubs, but all the bars are hopping till they're in season, and they
Yeah.
have a lot of them. Center Street and Folly Beach is pretty much lined up with a number of different bars and restaurants, um, and it can get wild sometimes. I mean, wild for an old guy like me.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you. And I'll let you know when I find out anything and pass along and see if you guys can help too.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Yep.
We'll do. All right. That's kind of all I have to talk about tonight. The only other thing I wanted to talk about, as I briefly mentioned, we are doing the Blue Jam this weekend. If anybody wants to come out and check it out, you're welcome to. We know that they're going to have, what's his name? Joe Cunningham's going to be there. Mia McLeod, who is a sitting senator and sponsor of a decrim bill, she will be there. I haven't really looked at anything else or any updated info on it. Let me see if I can get any updated guest list or anything. Featured speaker, former U.S. Senator from Alabama, Doug Jones. I don't think I know Doug Jones of Alabama. Joe, Mia, Spartanburg Democratic Party Chair, Angela Getter. Cool. I just like to talk with other party people from around the community or from around the state. Crystal Matthews also is a House representative. She's going to be there. Now, may not be of interest to some of you. Again, it's of interest to us here at Normal because we know that some of these legislators have either sponsored or co-sponsored marijuana reform legislation. We do know that one of the decrim bills, I don't have it in front of me now, has at least 30 co-sponsors. That's pretty darn good. Will it go anywhere in our state? No, it's a democratically sponsored bill in a Republican-controlled House and Senate. So no, it won't go anywhere. It'll never leave committee. But it's got support. Anyway, that's this weekend. I don't have a whole lot to talk about next week. I was hoping to have more information on a date for the lobby days. I went back and I looked. Last year we did lobby week and we did it early February. I actually kind of like the idea of lobby week with a lobby day thrown in the middle where we actually go to Columbia. I'm starting to look at a Wednesday for our lobby day visit to Columbia. I'm just not sure which Wednesday yet. Late January, very early February would probably be my thought. As I say, with this election just ending, it is kind of the kickoff of the next election cycle. Again, that's kind of why I think Blue Jam is being held this week. And as we roll into the new year, as we get probably not as much January as we will in February, March, April. I'm out of focus. We'll be starting to hear a whole lot more from the primary candidates that are running. We might hear a little bit from the incumbents, but we probably won't hear much from incumbents until after the primaries, which I'm going to have to check. Like I say, last I checked, there wasn't a date picked. Generally, primary day here in South Carolina is early June, giving them an option for runoff date, but by the end of June. They may have picked a date by now. I haven't followed up to check in about a month or two. So I'll know that by next week on if they've picked a primary date yet. Because again, as we roll into the new year, one of our focuses is going to be the new legislature, the new election cycle, on top of what's already out there, which is our existing legislation, which is going to be the Senate bill for the Compassionate Care Act. There is the House version of that, the Herb Kurzman bill. The Herb Kurzman bill does allow flower and the smoking of flower. The Senate version by Tom Davis does not include flower and the smoking of flower. But the House version was not going anywhere because they were sort of waiting to see what happened with the Senate version. So anyway, that's where we are as far as South Carolina legislative stuff. Nothing's going to happen until January 11th to start. We want to get up there. We want to, like I say, have hopefully a press conference, let the community know that we are here and getting ready to really make our voices heard for marijuana law reform in South Carolina. All right, last chance of the evening. Question, comments, concerns, thoughts, critiques. All right. If you're hoping to come and work with me at the booth or have someone coming with you on Saturday, please let me know after the conversations. Shoot us an email or a message through our contact page on our website, so I can make sure I have enough tickets ordered for everybody that's coming out. I believe I have at least one, possibly 3 other volunteers to work with me, and that should be pretty good if all 3 are interested in coming. If I get other requests, I will put you on our waiting list for that and let you know as soon as possible. Again, if you're interested, let me know through the contact page on our website or through our email. If you have our email address, normalsouthcarolina@gmail.com. And that is all I have for you tonight. Let me just double check again. I see that, Cody was asking about time and place for the Blue Jam, and Kristen dropped the link for it into the, is it .co or .com? Oh, it pops up, there it is. Dropped the link for it into a chat. It is at the Bend, which is, I believe, technically North Charleston. It starts at noon. I will probably be there about 11 to start setting up our tent and our table and our merch and stuff like that, maybe a little earlier. Weather reports for the day are going to be a little bit on the cooler side, not our usually nice warm South Carolina day. I believe the high is going to be in about the mid-60s. I'll be checking weather a little bit closer as we get ready for it, just to see if I want to take sidewalls for the tent or, put my long johns on, all that fun stuff. Anyway, that is it for me tonight, folks. I will be back again on here next Wednesday night, 7 p.m., talking about marijuana law in South Carolina. Don't forget to reach out to us if you want to follow us on our social media, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. Especially subscribe to our YouTube channel. And also, if you want to subscribe to our monthly newsletter and occasional reminders of things, go to our website at scnormal.org, scroll all the way down to the bottom, and you'll find a link to subscribe to our newsletter. Otherwise, that's all I have for tonight. Thank you very much for joining me. I look forward to chatting with you again next week. Have a